Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Come Let Us Reason Together. I am your host, Yandea, and joining me, as always, Duane is actually not joining me today. Duane, my lovely brother and co-host, is not joining me today because he is in the sunny island of Jamaica. Okay, Duane is having a good time in Jamaica, in attendance for something very special, his auntie's 100th birthday. So we send lots of love and blessings to Duane and his family. Birthday blessings to his auntie. 100 years is amazing. That's a great milestone. And so happy that, he gets to have that in his lineage. Lots of wisdom. And from what I understand, she's strong and going strong. So I'm going to give a little bit of time to have other people pop in. Hopefully, if he's not too busy, Duane will be joining us in the chat. We did try to get him on here, but the Wi-Fi was just not cooperating. So we decided to let that go and to just do, a little episode today answering one of the questions that we got in our chat, and I'll choose in our comment section under one of our videos. Let me see. It was under the video that was titled The Forgotten Gospel, I believe was the video. Yes, The Forgotten Gospel. The question was, can I get information on hypnosis and past life regressions? And they asked for videos, please. Okay, so I'm just gonna wait a little while. If you're watching, if you're watching, as always, I love to hear where you're from. Let me know where you're watching from and say hi. Okay, say hi. I'm gonna start very shortly. It's so weird to do this without Duane, you don't realize you don't realize how much you get into a flow, when you got your co-host. But I think I'll be able to handle this question. I see we have some people on. Guys, just say hi. Let me know that you're watching. Let me know where you're watching from. I love to hear, where everybody's from. And just a reminder, we did start doing our Come Let Us Reason Together podcast on Thursdays. We used to be on Wednesdays, but because of our schedules, it just works out better that we meet on Thursdays to do this. So Thursdays around 7:30, we tend to come on here and just reason about the topics, answer some of the questions that you may have. We would much rather answer your questions because then it's more relevant, it's more helpful if we're able to, respond to your comments and questions. So I always want to encourage you to don't be shy, ask your question, make your comments, and let's open dialogue, right? Let's have some discussion about the things that are, important to you and the things you want to know more about. And you can also join me on here if you want to reason and actually give your opinion in this way on this platform about anything. I don't know, I used to be shy too before to, be on camera and so on. But, we're in this day and age where so many people are letting their voices be heard. And I think if you feel that you have something valid to share and you think that you have information, especially that can be helpful or to give another perspective on a topic, I think that it's important for you to let your voice be heard and just add your little bit of wisdom, your little bit of knowledge. That's what I'm doing, right? Just a little bit, to the pot. And that way, people who come by, they have another perspective, they have a little more information, and they could make their decision about, you know, what they want to think about a certain topic. But it's very important that we don't have just, you know, only one perspective on a topic, because there are many perspectives to pretty much every topic, right? And sometimes if we only are fed one perspective, then we think that that's, you know, all there is. That's the only way to look at a topic. That's the only way to look at a subject. And like I said, there are many ways, you know, and sometimes it's not about which way is right or wrong to look at it, but like which way is appropriate, which way is what is best and in harmony for this certain situation or circumstance, right? So, okay, I am just want to say hello to everyone who's watching. Thank you for tuning in today. And I'm missing Duane. I'm missing Duane on here, guys. I'm missing my co-host, my brother. It's so nice to have his energy, you know, just seeing him on the screen with me and talking to him. But like I said, he's enjoying his vacation, and that's good. You know, I like that. So without further ado, let's get into this question, right? The question was for the person asked, can I get more information on hypnosis? So it's not really a question. It's just like wanting, the comment was really, it was really a comment asking for more information on hypnosis. And I'm thinking that probably in that video that they watched, I maybe mentioned something about hypnosis, something about past life regressions. I am a hypnosis, I do, yes, hypnosis and past life regressions. And I'm guessing I probably mentioned that I actually didn't go back to watch the video, but I'm thinking that's why they probably asked for more information, because I probably mentioned that in that video. So about hypnosis, some more information about hypnosis. I actually have like 5 videos that I've done on hypnosis misconceptions. And it's basically just to give more insight on what hypnosis actually is, because, you know, we've all seen these movies where people make other people bark and meow and do all these other things. And so I think for the most part, that's kind of what we have in our mind, right, about hypnosis. But like I said, I think maybe after this, I will put up a compilation of the top 5 misconceptions surrounding hypnosis. And I think that might be very helpful information. But for now, let's see. Hypnosis, maybe I could talk about it this way. So when you think of hypnosis, going under, like I'll speak specifically about what I do, okay? So when I hypnotize people, it's usually for the purpose of 2 reasons why I do it. Mainly, it's to help someone be able to, yes, go into their past lives for information, specifically to help them deal with this life, okay? I'll get into that a little bit more in a bit. And the second reason is to give them a chance to speak very clearly with their higher self. So these are the 2 main reasons why I do hypnosis, right? I know there's other reasons that people may do it, you know, for other things which are great, you know, weight loss, stop smoking, and this and that, but I just do it based on my calling, right? So I'm called to help people integrate their higher selves, right? And to manifest their dream life. So a lot of times people have a difficulty manifesting their dream life because there are things that's going on in their life right now, anywhere from like physical illnesses, relationship problems, blockages, all different types of things. And usually sometimes they, like when someone comes to me, sometimes it's like, okay, we can't pinpoint where in this timeline the root of this problem has started. We can't pinpoint it. So there's a possibility that you may have carried something over into this timeline, right? And so because I know that that is factual, I do these hypnosis sessions so that the clients can, by the guiding of their higher self, by Most High, they're able to go into their past life, the past life that will help them solve the issue that they're dealing with in this life. I tend to not do more than like 3 to 4 visitations. So basically 3 to 4 different past lives in one session, right? Sometimes a person could come in the first past life they go to, that might have the answer. Sometimes they need to go to multiple past lives and see a bigger picture of maybe a repetitive thing that they've been doing and to get the clarity. I don't necessarily decide. Yes, I do play a part in how many lives they visit, but I am not deciding which life they visit. That is really all up to Most High, right? So I've even had people go into the future instead of the past. I've had people stay right here and just visit an earlier timeline. So they would experience something that happened when they were a baby or just very young, too young for their, their memory now. So they'd experience something like when they were 2 or 3 that happened, and that thing was enough to leave an impression in their mind, in their subconscious. So then they are, acting out a belief or something that's implanted in their subconscious, but they were so young that they can't remember when that happened. So in the hypnosis session, we're able to tap in to, that certain incident or event and get the answers. And then once we get the answers, we're able to resolve whatever is going on, because think of it like what we do in these sessions is we go to the root. So if you think of like you're living your life and your life is a tree and your tree is hardly bearing fruit, or it's bearing fruit, but the fruit aren't good, right? These are things happening in your life. So you're wondering, well, I've checked the fruit, I've checked the leaves, I've checked the branches, I've checked the trunk, I've checked all of this stuff, and I can't pinpoint why the fruit aren't big and lush. I can't pinpoint what's going on. So then I say, well, maybe the problem is in the root, underground. So we need to do some, some tracing back. And that is really what I use hypnosis for, to help clients go deeper into their subconscious, and so deep that sometimes we travel to another timeline, right? So then you'd call it past life regression. I tend to rather say past life progression because I'm doing it to progress the client in this life, not just to get into a regression, right? So I tend to say I do past life progressions. Okay, so now you know when I say that what I mean. Okay, so I mentioned there that sometimes we have things stored in our subconscious mind, and when things are stored in our subconscious mind is really what's running the program, right? It's like it's the reason why we do so many things we do, and we are totally unaware of why we're doing these things. Our beliefs and all of that are there. Sometimes we have an encounter and we make a decision about that thing without even realizing that we've made a determination, a decision about what we think about that thing. And when that thing comes around again, we just have like this default response to it and we don't even remember why, right? That happens sometimes with people. They say like, I'm deathly afraid of dogs and I have no idea why. Well, because somewhere in life, you encountered a dog and you interpret it as being dangerous. You interpret it as being not safe. You could have seen this dog on a movie. You could have seen a dog bite somebody. You could have just, experienced aggression from a dog. Anyways, in your subconscious, that determination was made that dogs are unsafe. So as you grow, right? As you grow, every time you see a dog, naturally you want to protect yourself. And in that protection is going to come from that programming. Dogs are unsafe. Stay clear of dogs. You may not remember the first time that incident happened that caused you to be afraid of dogs, all to protect yourself, right? Hello, Duane. I see you, brother. Yes. Thank you for joining. I miss you. So, right. And so let's see. So now we have, I talked a little bit about subconscious, right? So I know that this is controversial because a lot of people don't believe in past lives. And this is not, I know it says come let us reason together, but we're not actually debating or going into whether past lives are real or not. We're talking about hypnosis, and we're talking about past life regressions or progressions. And obviously, then we have to talk about past lives, right? So when I use hypnosis, let me tell you what a session may look like. The client would come in, and sometimes people have this thought, like, am I gonna fall asleep? Right? It's possible. A person can fall asleep, but it's my job to stop them from falling asleep, right? When we do hypnosis, we want to, well, let me say when I do hypnosis, because like I said, different people could do it differently. But when I do hypnosis, my goal is to help my client, one, not fall asleep. Two, I want them to be very relaxed. So, we have 4 different states of mind, right? You have beta, alpha, you have theta and delta, right? So alpha, well, let's start with beta. Beta would be where you're awake, you're alert. Like right now, this is beta, right? Beta, I'm awake, I'm alert, I'm focusing, my mind is here, conscious mind, beta. Alpha is where now it's going to be like if you're thinking of sitting down watching TV. You're aware, you're awake, right? Going for a walk, right? You don't necessarily have to be extremely alert if you're watching TV or if you're going for a nice stroll or relaxing walk, right? And then you have, like I said, then you go into theta. Theta is really where I want you to be for a session, right? Because in theta, you're super relaxed. Think about, but you're not so relaxed that you're in a deep sleep. You're just very relaxed. Think about meditation. Think about like intuition, right? Think about accessing your subconscious mind. That's all theta. So I want to keep you in between that state of I'm very relaxed, and even a light sleep, light enough where you can hear my voice and you can receive my suggestions. You can visualize the things that I'm saying. If you had to go into a deep sleep, if you had to go into delta, which is the place of healing and body restoration, right? Deep sleep. If you had to go into that state, then you wouldn't be able to hear my voice. You wouldn't be able to hear my suggestions. You wouldn't be able to follow me. I couldn't lead you through your different past lives. I couldn't help you ask the questions to higher self. None of that, because you'd be in a deep sleep. So we do not want you to get into a deep sleep. So that's one thing you could know about, hypnosis, especially like when I do it. I'm not trying to get you into a deep sleep. I want you to be aware. I don't want you to necessarily be alert, right? But I want you to be aware and super relaxed. And I want you to be able to visualize and to understand what I'm saying to you, right? At any point during this process, if you felt uncomfortable or overwhelmed, you just open your eyes. There's no, difficulty. You just open your eyes, you just raise up, you just get up. It's nothing. You have a question, you could ask a question, right? All of that is there. You're fully in control. The only thing is that you're giving yourself to the person who's doing the session, in the sense that you're wanting to be relaxed. You're wanting, like you're willing to have this session take place for the purpose you came for. So then you have to have a sort of a level of trust, right, with the person who's doing that session for you. Let me think, what else is there? So past life regression, right? I think I covered enough about hypnosis in a sense. You're basically accessing memory that is in your subconscious mind, which would be things that you may miss it because it's not in your conscious mind, right? And those memories can go all the way back because it's in your soul. Those memories can go all the way back, right? All the way back to past lives, many past lives, eons and eons ago. Okay. For example, I've had so many clients do sessions with me in hypnosis sessions, and it helps when a client is it helps when a client, you know, has a bit of an imagination, a creative mind, because creative minds and minds that can imagine, it helps in the sense that there's a lot of, for example, I might take a client through visualization. If somebody is not very creative or they can't imagine, it might be hard for them. Like if I say, I need you to visualize a pink flower. If the client has a hard time visualizing the pink flower, because part of helping them to get into the state of to be hypnotized, right? They need to really relax. And I use a lot of visual cues to help them to get, you know, into that state of induction. So to induce somebody, usually that's the way that we go. We use our voice and we use imagery to help them just relax and get into that state. And if the person can't visualize, if they don't have an imagination, if they don't trust, if they're afraid, all of these things make it a little more difficult. It can happen, yes, but then instead of just going straight to it, I have to do some other things to help their body relax, to help their mind relax, right? So it's just a few more steps, but definitely the minds that are people who already do meditations, already do visualizations and all these things, it's easier. I'll just be straight, it's easier. But it doesn't mean that if you don't do those things, it can't happen. It's just that there's other things that we do in the beginning to just help you to relax, okay? So past lives, let's see. So I could give like some examples, right? So I myself, I've experienced ever since I was a younger woman, right? I have known of past lives, not all of them, but I knew at least about 5 of different past lives I was aware of ever since I was little. I wasn't aware that they were past lives, like how we would say it now. It just felt like I did this before, but the last time I did it, this was a situation. And then the other time it was that situation. And another time it was that situation. I wouldn't call it, I would never use that term past life. It was just like the last time I did this, it was different. That's the knowing that I had. And I had very clear memories of how I died in those lives. So and I also knew of things I wanted to do in this life. Okay. Now that's going to tie in because when I started doing past life regressions for people, so not just myself, for people, when I started doing their regressions, they would experience, you know, going through their life, getting to the last day, experiencing their death. After experiencing their death, they would be in a space where they reviewed their life and they could say like, this is what I learned from this life and this is what I would want to do next time, or whatever the case may be. And then sometimes they would go into another life, right? Sometimes they spent time in the afterlife, doing things in the afterlife. And so part of the past life regression actually was their life in between lives. So just in people have different names that they call it, whether you want to call it heaven or just the astral plane or whatever it is, doesn't matter to me, but let's call it in between lives. So yeah, there's different things that have happened to people in the in between life space. Some people have gone traveling, you know, some people, there's an actual space that they're with family and friends. They see, you know, God in however, whichever way, I'm not going to get into that, but they see God, they have conversations with God and all this different type of stuff. And then other people, you know, they just tend to move right into another life in a sense, once they've done the review. But not only because of my experience do I believe in past lives, but like I said, so many clients, I've had them go through, like, for example, they would have, let's say, maybe they have something like a fear of heights, for example, and they don't know why they're afraid of heights. And then we do the past life regression and we go through different lives. And then there will come a time where maybe as a young, like there's one client I'm thinking of actually as a young girl, she fell off a cliff. And when she fell off the cliff, she was able to experience her spirit going into the other side. And she was surrounded by like all these colors and everything and so on and so forth. And so she realized that she didn't have to fear heights or falling anymore because she had already experienced falling. And it wasn't, and basically dying wasn't a scary thing for her, right? And so in this life, now she has the opportunity to heal from that fear because she now remembers, oh yeah, it was scary when I was falling, but then once I fell and I immediately, like, I crossed over and it was good and everything. So now, now she can take that and it's a new memory because it's her memory now. She's just remembered and it resolves her fear of falling, her fear of heights. All of that can be resolved now because she remembers where the root of that fear came from. And there's lots like that, right? There's lots of different examples of that. So I'm realizing how much I appreciate Duane when he's on here with me, because left to myself, I'll just keep talking. It's so nice to have him here when he kind of directs me, like ask me a question and so on. So I'm like talking to myself right now. I know you're out there and you're listening, but it's really different. Duane, okay, so I'm going to be very happy when he's back from his vacation. I'm going to just take a moment to look at the chat. If you have any questions about what I've shared, if you want me to go deeper into something, please ask, please let me know. And like I said, I am going to just put together a compilation of the top 5 misconceptions, I think, that there are about hypnosis. People are afraid of falling asleep. They're afraid that when they are under, they'll say all their secrets, and I'm going to go through all of them. And I'll put that video up very soon. That won't be hard to do. And let's see, just check over here if there's any questions. Okay, no questions. So I think that if there are no questions and everybody's good with what I've shared thus far, I really would like to have, maybe if there's any questions specifically about something that I'm saying, I have no problem going into more depth about anything that I've shared, even a past life. I have so many clients that love their experiences. If maybe you guys are interested in hearing some past life experiences, if you're interested in even, experiencing a past life for the purpose of bringing clarity and healing to your life right now, right? To your life right now. We have breath, we have our breath, and we have the gift of life to live in this timeline. So it's very easy for people to use things like past life regression to try to escape the reality of this timeline. And that is the one thing that I would say, I would caution people about. Do not use anything, not drugs or alcohol, sex, other people, sports, entertainment, hypnosis, past life regressions, do not fall into this thing of utilizing other things to try to escape the reality of the timeline that you're in, which is right now. You're in this timeline, you're in this reality so that you can change it, so that you can learn how to master yourself and create it to be the reality that you want it to be. That's the whole thing, right? Dream Manifestation Specialist is about helping you integrate your higher self and about helping you manifest your dream life. Your dream life is right here. It's not in the past, and it's not in the future, as in another timeline. Your dream life is right here. Your dream life is when you integrate your higher self so that you are not projecting from the place of lack, of no self-worth, insecurity, doubt, fear, right? When you are projecting from that place, from all the pain that you're holding in your body, your life can only be a reflection of that. So if you want to create your dream life, you need to integrate your higher self. When your higher self integrates fully into this body, then all of the pain, all of the trauma, all of the things that are not healed, they have to be reconciled, right? And then from that place, from that center, from your higher self, fully integrated in your body, you can manifest the type of life, your dream life, your highest dream, okay, beyond what you could think or imagine with your limited mind right now. You can manifest that dream life. And that's what this is all about. That's what this channel is all about. My hope is to help you heal and to help you, just grow and expand your mind, expand your heart, make room, within yourself to be able to integrate your higher self and to have the sort of faith and hope and knowing that's necessary to manifest your dream life. So again, if you have any more questions, whether it's about this, hypnosis, or anything else, please comment below and we will, because Duane will be back. So we will, respond to your questions and your comments in our next video. Also, I do want to say that I have a series that will be coming up, and I don't want to say the wrong name. Because I just finally settled on what I was gonna name this series. Give me 1 second so I say it the right way. I'm calling this series Love Before the Fall. Love Before the Fall, She Remembers, He Returns. So this series is going to be for the next maybe like 6, 7, maybe 8 Sundays on this channel. But on Sundays at around 7:30, Love Story is the other podcast that I have. And that series is going to run for about 6 to 7 weeks, right? Sundays. So please, 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 you do not want to miss this. This is another one of these beautiful things that Most High has given me to talk about and to share about. And it is definitely going to be life-changing for a lot of people. So you may be one of them. Again, Love Before the Fall. She Remembers, He Returns. Okay? So you want to catch that Sunday. This Sunday will be the first episode. So Sunday at 7:30 right here. And see you next Thursday with Duane, my co-host. We'll figure it out. Hope he's here. But we'll see you next Thursday, same time. Okay, bye-bye. Have a good night.